The dispute is with its closest ally and largest trading partner, the United States, a relationship that has long been a cornerstone of North American stability and prosperity. But this isn't just a minor diplomatic spat, it's a full-blown trade crisis, the likes of which neither country has seen in decades, and it was triggered by a bold and controversial move from Washington earlier this year. In February 2025, President Donald Trump announced sweeping tariffs on a wide range of Canadian goods, citing a national emergency and claiming the need to protect American industries from what he called unfair competition. The sudden imposition of these economic barriers sent shockwaves through both nations, disrupting supply chains, halting cross-border trade, and threatening a partnership that had thrived for generations. In response, Prime Minister Mark Carney has taken a firm and defiant stance, rallying Canadian workers, vowing to protect their jobs, and making it clear that Canada will not bow to U.S. pressure or intimidation. The world is now watching closely as this economic standoff unfolds, testing the strength and resilience of one of the world's most stable and enduring alliances. If the U.S.-Canada relationship can unravel so quickly, it raises urgent questions about the future of global partnerships and the stability of international trade agreements everywhere. As of September 16, 2025, the outcome of this unprecedented standoff remains uncertain, with the fate of North American trade, and perhaps the global economic order itself, hanging in the balance. To understand the crisis, you need to know what a tariff is, a tax on imported goods, designed to make foreign products more expensive and protect domestic industries. President Trump's administration unilaterally slapped tariffs on a wide range of Canadian products, citing a national emergency over drug trafficking. Critics on both sides of the border saw this as a pretext for a protectionist agenda. Trump's America First approach has used tariffs as leverage, not just with Canada but globally. The tariffs hit Canadian lumber, aluminum, manufactured goods, and agriculture, impacting nearly every sector. The goal: inflict enough economic pain to force Canada to change its policies. But the specific U.S. demands remain murky, fueling speculation and tension. Canada, under Prime Minister Carney, responded with a mix of resolve and strategy. The nation faced a challenging situation, but Carney's leadership was unwavering. His approach was not just about immediate reactions, but also about long-term planning and resilience. Carney's public appearances project strength, reassuring Canadians that their government stands firm. His interactions with citizens and supporters are designed to build confidence and unity during these turbulent times. Behind the scenes, Canada is rallying international support, joining calls with leaders from the UK, France, and others to reinforce its global alliances. These diplomatic efforts are crucial in ensuring that Canada is not isolated on the world stage. Canada has also imposed retaliatory tariffs targeting U.S. goods from politically sensitive districts to maximize pressure on the Trump administration. These measures are carefully calculated to hit where it hurts politically, aiming to force a reconsideration of the U.S. stance. The aim: make the tariffs politically costly for the U.S. By targeting key districts, Canada hopes to create internal pressure within the U.S. to change its trade policies. Meanwhile, Canada is accelerating trade diversification, seeking new markets in Europe and Asia-Pacific to reduce reliance on the U.S. This proactive approach is about building a more robust and diversified economic future. This crisis has exposed the risks of overdependence on a single partner. The economic disruptions have highlighted the need for a more balanced and secure trade strategy. By broadening its trade horizons, Canada hopes to weather the storm and emerge more resilient. Diversification is not just a strategy but a necessity for long-term stability. The message is clear: Canada won't back down. The nation is committed to standing strong, adapting, and thriving despite the challenges. The trade war's impact is immediate and personal for millions. Canadian industries like steel, aluminum, and lumber face higher costs and layoffs as exports to the U.S. plummet. American manufacturers, in turn, pay more for Canadian materials, driving up prices for consumers. Retaliatory tariffs hit U.S. farmers and producers, making it harder to sell goods in Canada. The result: rising prices and inflation on both sides of the border. The Congressional Budget Office warns of increased unemployment and slower growth in the U.S. Disrupted supply chains and uncertainty are stalling investment and job creation. For both nations, this is more than politics. It's a direct threat to jobs and prosperity. Let's break down some key terms shaping this crisis. A national emergency declaration lets a U.S. president bypass Congress to act swiftly. Trump used this to impose tariffs. Bipartisan opposition means lawmakers from both parties are fighting the tariffs, led by Democrat Tim Kaine and Republican Rand Paul. Retaliatory tariffs are Canada's response, taxing U.S. goods in a tit-for-tat escalation. The Congressional Budget Office, or CBO, is an independent agency whose reports on rising unemployment and inflation carry weight in the debate. These terms aren't just jargon, they're the building blocks of a trade war. Understanding them is key to following the unfolding drama. The tariffs have sparked a fierce political fight in Washington, dividing even the president's own party. Congress technically controls trade, but Trump's emergency declaration sidestepped them, igniting a constitutional clash. Democrats, led by Senator Tim Kaine, are forcing repeated votes to end the emergency, joined by Republicans like Rand Paul. A previous Senate vote to block the tariffs passed with bipartisan support, but stalled in the House. Republican senators face a dilemma: defy Trump and risk political backlash, or side with businesses and voters hurt by the trade war. As economic pain grows, pressure mounts for more Republicans to break ranks. The outcome of this legislative battle could decide the fate of the tariffs and the U.S.-Canada relationship. The stakes for both economies couldn't be higher. The world is watching the U.S.-Canada trade crisis with growing concern. Headlines dominate news cycles, and analysts everywhere are debating the potential fallout. The uncertainty is sending ripples through financial markets, with investors and businesses bracing for what could come next. Allies in Europe and Asia see the U.S. move as a dangerous precedent, rallying behind Canada and questioning the future of global trade rules. Many fear that if such disputes escalate, it could unravel decades of economic cooperation and trust. Protests and diplomatic statements are echoing across continents as leaders urge restraint and dialogue. Prime Minister Carney's outreach to UK and French leaders signals a united front among nations committed to cooperation. These meetings are more than symbolic. They represent a strategic effort to build new alliances and reinforce old ones, ensuring that Canada is not isolated on the world stage. Some experts predict a political solution in Washington if bipartisan opposition grows strong enough to override a presidential veto. Congressional leaders are under pressure from industries and workers affected by the standoff, and public opinion is shifting as the economic impact becomes clearer. Others see a possible negotiated settlement, with both sides making concessions to end the standoff. Behind closed doors, diplomats are working tirelessly, seeking common ground and a way to restore stability to North American trade. But there's a real risk of prolonged tension, with tariffs becoming the new normal and North American trade permanently altered. Supply chains are already feeling the strain, and businesses on both sides of the border are facing tough choices about their futures. Canada is already accelerating efforts to diversify its trade partners, preparing for a less integrated future. Trade delegations are forging new deals, and Canadian companies are exploring markets far beyond North America, determined to adapt and thrive despite the uncertainty. The long-term damage could be severe for both economies. Factories may close, jobs could be lost, and entire communities might feel the effects for years to come. The human cost of this crisis is only beginning to emerge. The world is learning that even the strongest alliances can be tested, and that the consequences are global. As countries watch and learn, the outcome of this crisis could reshape international relations and economic policies for a generation. The next chapter in this crisis is still unwritten. What happens now will define not just the future of US-Canada relations, but the very nature of global cooperation in an increasingly uncertain world.